Live from iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to RaceSpotTV's continuing coverage of the 2024 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Well, as NASCAR prepares for its first trip in the Cup Series to the Iowa Speedway this coming weekend, the drivers of the RSR Cup Series do the same, and are happy to start Iowa Week on the iRacing service with you on this Monday night. Alongside way.
Yeah, it's sort of fitting, isn't it, that Iowa is known for many firsts across the time and across different world events, and now here we are, the new tracks on the schedule here at Iowa at this 0.9 of a mile racetrack.
It is a unique racetrack that maybe can provide somebody an opportunity to try to break into the fold and mix up as we take a look at those championship standings that have been very Agnell Phillip heavy, a four-time race winner at the top of the championship. But the big thing for Matt Dansett as of a week ago is Dansett only 28th in the points, but a race win under his belt. Going to help him leapfrog a lot of other drivers without wins when it comes towards playoff eligibility. We will not see more race winners than spots in the postseason. We know that for sure. So when you have guys like Agnell who have racked up 6 race wins, and even his team at A51 Pro X Altus with Harris and Dansett winning the last 2 being such a powerhouse, the door is wide open for anybody else inside of the top 25 to score a race win and become playoff eligible.
Well, you saw a lot of unique tracks in that schedule back there a second ago, Evan. We still got to go to Pocono. We're going back to the Indy Oval, going different places that just provide different styles of racing than that mile-and-a-half cookie cutter. So anything really that's possible here in the next month or two in RSR.
It is a critical part of the season, even some still new faces coming in, hoping that maybe they can get a top 25 in the series points and get a race win to qualify for the postseason. Of course, the playoffs here in RSR follow the same.
Whitaker, part of Extreme Performance as well, there in the P10. P11 is Thomas George, and P12 is Austin Coop.
Basically halfway through at that point, lucky number 13 tonight goes to Ross Cato. Agnell Phillip with some work to do. We'll start from 14th. Michael Araya tonight with P15 on the grid. DeAndre Kane starting in the number 16 spot. And the final car to take a time into qualifying will be the 17th place starter of Minotzi Major. That means provisionals will go to your Sonoma race winner, Matt Danson, who will start in 18th position. And then Steve Soa will start in 19th. New racetrack, smaller field than the average for the season. I think that may aid these drivers, though. The chatter in the 30-minute practice session earlier this evening, Derek, is that this fixed setup, which we always use at all of these RSR races, the iRacing default fixed setup, is a little bit tricky here at Iowa.
Yeah, there was some chatter going on about how difficult it was to hold on to the car and the what ifs, right? So here you see your track conditions. 6:33 p.m. virtual sim time, 82 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. That'll cool off as the night goes on. But you're right, this could be a tricky race because they talked about how hard it is to hold onto these cars and how it will snap out from under them with no warning.
This is also not an insignificant length. All races on the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series half distance to our NASCAR Cup Series counterpart. So tonight's race, 175 laps around this 0.875 mile oval, 4 turns, progressively banked, 12 degrees on the bottom, 14 degrees on the outside. Again, not the only time that NASCAR competition has competed here at the Iowa Speedway. But this upcoming weekend will mark the first time the drivers of the Cup Series will. So it's a week of firsts because it is also the first RSR Cup Series race here tonight. First trip for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers tomorrow night. And again, a lot of official racing on Iowa this week as well. So we're happy that you're with us for the start of Iowa week here on RaceSpotTV. Pace car going to be down and in this time, leaving the field in the hands of the 15 car of Maverick Davis. Let's go racing at Iowa. Davis looking for his first race win of the season, gets out to a good jump and maintains the lead as the pole sitter. You jump back a couple of spots, maybe a challenge around the 19 car. That's Bradley Burke in third. That is behind him. The challenge coming from the 20 of gas, but in fact up the road, Cody Harris, the driver, who doesn't get the best run off of turn number 2. His red 28 car a little bit slow, and now Burke looking to the outside.
So far, you see everybody's kind of in line already, Evan. There's a preferred line here at the track, and the drivers have really picked it out. Look, almost everyone's down almost to the bottom of that corner, that yellow line through the corners and then tracking back out. You're seeing very few competitors want to get up to that top lane, and if they are, they're getting out of it as fast as possible.
Brandon Whitaker, middle of the field as well. Again, that progressive banking going to allow some of the drivers to use the outside to get the run off of the corner and complete passes, and that's exactly what just happened there in the battle for P2. Bradley Burke, high, wide, and handsome, makes the pass on Cody Harris. Burke is up 4 spots, I should say, already after starting this race from P6. So the 19 car making moves early on in this one, as your leaders start to single file out, but a side-by-side action just inside of the top 10, near that 10 car, Cam Patterson, but he's able to tuck in line ahead of the 51 Larson.
Yeah, speaking of top 10, just a small update here for Sam Nieto. You saw in our pace laps, Evan, he's having a little bit of connection problems, so he went ahead and backed out on the start. You saw him way down to the bottom, let some people get by him, and now he's back up to speed, but he did the very courteous thing, very respectable thing, and wanted to get that connection back together before he started racing.
Last time's looking good and steady up front. Davis continues to hold his 5/10 of a second advantage over Burke for the first and second spots. We'll see if Burke now is clear to that spot, if he's able to make some moves. And Maverick Davis, first time sitting on a pole position for him this season. Actually, I should say first time since Charlotte, but that was his first. So how about 2 and 3 weeks for the driver of the 15 car, who really seems to be coming into form in the middle portion of the season. Would love to put that car in victory lane. It's not a necessity for a driver who's already sitting top 6 in the standings before those weighted standings by wins come into factor. He's very much in a playoff spot as is, but a win would be nice for him, just like Cody Harris, who's got a couple of those. Most recently, he getting his first win of the season in that same race at Charlotte that Maverick Davis started on pole in.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's not a necessity stat-wise, But as a driver, Evan, it is a necessity to get a win under your belt. Get another win under your belt. Get everything you can to build momentum, to build that positivity, to build that self-confidence that sometimes we lose as a race car driver. It is a necessity, right? Maverick is, as you said, grown so much, both in RSR and other broadcasts on RaceSpot. I think in the past year or two, to see him come through the ranks, to perform better, to get some pole positions, battling for wins. He's someone who's really just kind of figured it out. But you're right, stat-wise, not a necessity, but for that confidence, for that self-doubt to go away, it's still a necessity. So it is a necessity. Oh, man, it's for that not to get under there too deep in that corner. Almost got under that yellow line. And I think if, Evan, if these tires touch that yellow line or get down there under that yellow line, someone's in for a very rude awakening in these corners about how that car is going to behave.
Yeah, the progressive banking is going to help a little bit, but you don't want to go from 12 degrees to flat just like that, especially when we've already noted that drivers have been talking about that it's a bit of a handful just to get these cars around this racetrack when you're on the racing surface with this iRacing fixed setup. That was Larson looking to the inside of the 10 of Patterson, trying to take the spot back. Patterson passing him and completing that pass on the last lap at the 51. All kinds of loose that time in turn number 2. Sam Nieto going to go through on the bottom and take that spot away. Meanwhile, you see the purple number 90 of DeAndre Kane. DeAndre's been a highly competitive car in a lot of races this season. Not tonight, though. That car struggling mightily as he's a lap down, getting passed by all of these leaders.
It'll be that DeAndre figures it out throughout these 175 laps. As you talked about, to me, I was the epitome of grassroots as a racetrack. It's, a track that's been around for a while on the real-life truck schedule. It's had a few races on the real-life Xfinity schedule. And the fans have always kind of whispered, what if it got on the Cup schedule? What would happen? What would the Cup cars do? And that grassroots campaign has paid off. But the question mark for us as iRacers who maybe don't race the trucks or the Grand Nationals is to figure this place out. It's a different track, and that progressive banking on a shorter track is difficult. I think DeAndre will figure it out as the night goes on. But right now, this may be new to him. This may be a whole new puzzle being put together.
Looking to see where some of the other movers are coming from, and it all is up front because now up front is Bradley Burke. That charge from P6 goes all the way to the top of the mountain. He makes the pass on Davis about a lap ago. He now has sole possession of the number 1 spot and is pulling away from the at-time race leader. Meanwhile, back here, all of this going on from Agnew. Phillip P6 odd back. It is a hornet's nest, but all these cars have been making moves. Agnew is up 8. He is the single biggest mover in the field. And the 11 of Thomas George is where that 6 car started. He's P7, so he's gained some spots in his own right. Lost 1 last time and may lose 2 here because that 10 of Patterson and the 2 of Nieto coming down to the inside, trying to make a dent in all the progress the 6 car has made.
Yeah, they're both trying to get there. Peyton, 3 wide at Iowa is not something I want to find myself in if I can help it. So if you're going to get under him or above him and make that pass, you need to make it and make it stick and make it happen. I would not want to be caught 3 wide in a corner here. So I think that's what they're kind of backing out and trying to figure out what to do here. But now we're going to look on board from Brett Larson from the left side of the car. You see a couple of the different stickers there on the side of the car. You see how this track really does that baking changes, like you said, it's progressive. You saw how flat it got down the straightaway there.
Again, it's an interesting middle point track. I think in the NASCAR Cup schedule, anything under a mile falls into the short track category, but on a national basis, a racetrack this big doesn't really fall into that when you talk about some of the super late model ranks and some other short tracks across the country. But for simplicity's sake, we'll call it a short track tonight, and certainly racing like one. Battles going on all throughout the field in the middle of all of it. Gas stinging ahead of Phillip, but I think he's going to be the next one under fire. Agnew has been ripping through the field. The Donnie 4 looks good. Nobody should be shocked about that. He is a 6-time race winner in 11 races so far this season. He'll go to the outside of the 20.
Yeah, if anything, we were all probably shocked to see how far down the list Agnew was in qualifying, and to see not necessarily surprised he didn't get a pole, but surprised he was down that far. Really caught my eye when we were going through the grid here tonight at Iowa. Evan, I wanted to bring it up and get it out of the way. Oh, we got someone down pit road here. That's Braden Whitaker. This is obviously not a planned stop. So I'm not sure if maybe he made contact with a wall or is having a hard time there, but on lap 22, this cannot be planned for Braden Whitaker. Well, let's take a look here and see what does he do. He's going to stop in the box here, and there's the right side. So at least 2 tires, if not 4, for Braden Whitaker. That seems pretty off schedule.
Yeah, I think I saw when we first saw the shot that the front bumper may have been missing on Whitaker's machine. He's the only car that has an unscheduled stop. And here's a separate incident for Brett Larson. Single car wreck, and now a caution back on live. So a whole lot goes on in a couple of laps. Thomas George in the 6 car immediately claiming responsibility for the first yellow flag of the night. So maybe 2 single car spins. And as we were rewinding to see how it all happened, George wrecking from the top 10.
Very different wrecks from what you saw in the replay and what you're going to see live, I suspect, here. I think one's going to be the bottom of the track and one's going to be to the top when we get there. So very different. And of course, Thomas George's comment, he was one of those ones who chirped pre and in practice, Evan, about how difficult this track was and how difficult the setup was. And after he spun the car here, he only said, well, that was only a matter of time before that happened. So obviously a very difficult night for Thomas George. Here we see the pace car coming around to catch the field. And I suspect we'll see pit stops here for everybody on lap 25.
Yeah, they do have to be somewhat cognizant, I think, of what they do with the tires, because there are only 4 sets available. But this early on in the race, I think plenty of opportunity to come down and to get those tires replaced, especially because we just started seeing a whole bunch of single car incidents out of nowhere. That's a very good indication to us, I think, that drivers were really starting to struggle on the tires, and we were only about 20-25 laps or so into the run. So likely going to be 4 tires and a fuel throughout. Everybody is down pit road with the exception of DeAndre Kane. Pit road not open to him as the car 1 lap down. Right side's on, now left side's going on. Bradley Burke, who was the control car in, and now he will race off of pit road and maintain the lead, but maybe barely. Maverick Davis with the number 1 pit stall doesn't have to go a long way to get to that scoring line. He almost got it from Burke. Burke hangs on, but that is a good point to bring up, Derek. The fact that in this race, if we have more yellow flag pit stops, it's a unique pit lane curved there down on the inside of turns 1 and 2. And that number 1 pit stall that goes to the pole sitter can be a big advantage. Davis almost took the lead because of it.
Yeah, Davis later couldn't have just kind of spinning those tires and really peeling off of that pit stop box to see if he could get back around there and be a P1 if necessary. But right now, holding on to that spot here, as you see all the pit stops times there all on the side of your screen, Evan, right on the left side. See Cody Harris, I think the longest stop of anybody at a 15-second, 15.3. No, there's Steve Silva, 15.9. So of your regular stops, that's the longest ones.
Bit of discussion as well going on between the drivers, and Thomas George, of course, claiming responsibility for the incident, going to receive an end of the longest line to penalty, mentioning that he knew that he was going around and would have rather split into the outside wall and not taken any of their cars out that have tried to save that machine. Austin Coop did cycle through to the top position. The 53 car was down pit road, missed his box, so that was basically an unintentional drive-through trip. So Coop going to be back down pit road. He will get his actual service this time, but it's going to basically evaporate any of the track position that he had actually made up on the run prior. Those positions gained under the yellow, kind of a null and void fact, because that wasn't really an intentional move. So that'll put Bradley Burke back to P1 where we thought he would be. Yeah,
right back to P1, and he'll get the lineup here and control the restart here. Well, before all the chaos began, Evan, I was going to bring up, you and I are both, college football fans in the Big Ten. Of course, we're in a Big Ten state. It's not one that either of us roots for, but maybe the most wholesome tradition in all of Big Ten, or maybe all of college football, Evan, You know, and was it in the third quarter when the fans turn around and they rave to the fans in the children's hospital? I feel like we can't do an Iowa broadcast and not say that's probably one of the most wholesome things you can watch on TV.
It is, and I think just mentioning Big Ten is weird now because it's what, like Big 48 feels like with conference realignment and whatnot.
Yeah, you got Oregon and USC and UCLA.
Yeah,
and
it's
Washington.
going to be a weird upcoming season, but certainly more competitive. And hopefully things are competitive on track tonight, and we'll see if any drivers come and go. It's been a pretty even split. Maverick Davis started this race from pole position. He led the opening 14. Bradley Burke has led them all since. You may think that Maverick Davis is the pole sitter or the control car for this restart. That's not the case. Control car does get discretion on lane selection. So to the outside, that blue number 19 of Burke is the control car. Maverick Davis on the bottom does not get to pick. He will have to go on the 19. Couple of rules: no lane changing before the start-finish line. Some of the things to keep an eye on as the pace cars back off and in. Green flag back in the air. Jump for Burke on board with Brandon Gass. P6 in line on the inside. Trying to get around both 28 and the 15. Why not? Let's go 3 wide in turn 3, as it has been a tough restart for Davis, who continues to slide back.
Yeah, and what a great decision that was by Bradley Burke, by the way, to go up to the top lane on a restart. I wasn't sure how that was going to play out, Evan, but obviously he had practiced it. He knew what to do. He knew it would work. And you're right. It's really hard for Maverick Davis. I mean, falling back, we're at the P6 already. But here on the track, look at this big gaggle of cars, all just kind of fighting for the same piece of real estate. And there's a wall hit already here on lap 32.
You're just surprised that Davis fell off so much. I mean, he was really good short run. Obviously, for the control car position, going to be different than in traffic, but Davis didn't struggle that much. It was just a couple of really bad laps, and he's trying to tread water right now in the number 6 spot, but he's got Michael Araya threatening for that spot on the bottom. I think he has the advantage being topside. He'll defend for the moment, and he's got a front row seat at the 20 of Gas and the 28 of Harris doing battle for P4 right in front of him.
Well, I think part of what got to him, too, you saw he didn't have the best jump on the restart. Burke definitely had a bit of a gap on the outside, so you saw that happening there, but we'll see if he can get it back. Maverick, I'm sure, will bounce back at some point. He just needs to take a second, breathe, relax, let go of that frustration you have because of the restart, and get it going. But here's someone who is doing really well and has bounced back pretty hard. That's Agnell Phillip at P2. Wasn't he like P14 or something a little bit ago?
Yeah, his qualifying lap was 0.3 slower than his best lap time from practice. It seemed pretty clear that Agnell, who, by the way, was fastest in practice earlier tonight, just missed something in that 2-lap qualifier session. And the benefit of it being about a 20-car field here tonight is if that's a bad night and you end up 35th, it's probably going to be a lot more painful picking your way through than it has been so far. So his speed has allowed him to drive up to the number 2 spot. It's the highest we've seen Phillip so far tonight. Now we'll see if he can get all the way to Burke and challenge for the race lead. Well, he's got his sights set on that. We're watching the battle behind. On board with Maverick Davis, who is side by side right now with that 20 of Brandon Gass underneath him.
Yeah, Maverick's now trying to make any lane work, just trying to get the groove back together and really make that outside work. Look at him here on the outside of these cars here. And trying to make this work with the pass on the outside. Can he do it? I don't know. At least not this time by, I don't think. But he's trying to gather momentum, maybe get a strong run out the corner here, and he does not. Benice is caught up in all kinds of traffic. That Nieto's going to go outside? It is.
That 2 car going to go way to the outside. There's going to be room on corner exit. And again, the banking allows him to wind it up. He had the advantage at the stripe. Davis not all the way to the bottom. They're going to touch that time. I think the 2 was thinking Davis would go all the way to the yellow line, just like everybody else. They didn't. They made contact. The 2 gets the spot. Davis, though, doesn't want to roll over. He tries to double cross the 2, go right back to his outside. Couldn't find the real estate, but look at the 15. Fighting aggressively to get up top where he feels like he could make the pass right back. Still not going to happen.
You know, Evan, in real life racing in the Cup Series on Sundays, you know, sometimes the drivers will get what they call a bad set of tires, and they think the car just doesn't perform as well as it did before. In iRacing, we don't have that. There's no such thing as a bad set of tires, but a driver can get that in their head. You can think, man, what did I miss in the setup, or not setup, but what did I miss in the pit stop? What did I do wrong? What did I do? Because if you're Maverick Davis, you can't figure out yet what's different. Before the yellow and after the yellow are 2 completely different races for Maverick Davis, and the only difference I can find is clean air and dirty air.
It is certainly a challenge here in the service, just like it is, and you hear drivers talk about it so much in the real world. Checking it with Michael Araya, who's also had a bit of a climb so far tonight, an uncharacteristic P15 spot on the grid for Laraya, but he was slowest of all cars in practice earlier tonight, but getting progressively better as the night goes on. He's been able to drive his way up to P9. I do want to say, though, I certainly thought once we got back under green on this run, at Agnell had gotten to P2, that he was going to put pressure quick on Burke. And that is not to say that that may still not happen, but Burke has pulled away from Phillips' machine. In fact, the 19's got an advantage of about 1.1 seconds right now. It's the biggest lead we've seen so far in this race.
Yeah, and typically Iowa's not a track where you're seeing big leads just because how short it is and how quick things happen. So you're right, that's pretty impressive right now for Bradley Burke to have that lead. We'll see if he can maintain it once he comes back around in probably, 20 laps or so if we stay green. He'll start to face that traffic, and we'll see if he can maintain that gap over Agnell Phillip, Cody Harris, and others. But for now, he is really dominating this, I guess, to be inaugural RSR race here at the Iowa Speedway.
You see those couple of team cars lined up as well as Peter Irons, Brandon Gass, and company do a battle in the number 4 and 5 spots. Looks like some connection issues as well for Sam Nieto, who's trying to fight through some of that. That's the blinking number 2 car on the outside. Always a nervous feeling when you're driving around somebody who's having an issue like that, because you can't really be too comfortable to race close to them. So hopefully that resolves itself with the 2 and doesn't have any sort of an issue on the rest of the racing that's going on. Seems like it may have settled down now for a brief moment. I did say this race is not an insignificant length, but when you get these green flag laps going, you can tick off a lap here at this short track at a little bit under 25 seconds, even on some older tires. So we already passed 1/4 distance in this Iowa 175 and trucking along towards the halfway point.
Yeah, that's an important thing to remember, is that 175 sounds like a big number, and you think, man, I have a long time to make the move I want to make, or I have time to set up the pass, or I have time to play this strategy out, but you really don't. I mean, we're turning a little bit more than 2 laps per minute, so they're going to tick off pretty fast here, and you'll run out of time quicker than you think at a track like this. But now we're going to watch the 20 car dig down on Maverick Davis, trying to make that spot. That's Brandon Gass here. Now from the back end view, that's Davis on the right, Gass on the left. It's usually the opposite. Usually your gas is on the left, or no, your gas is on the right. No, that's why I don't do well racing. That's my problem right there. No, the gas is on the right. That's the problem right there.
That's going to be a big shot topside. The 15 of Davis going to give a push to the bumper of the 2 of Sam Nieto, then try to cross back down. Look out, the 20 sideways. Gas hangs on. Almost a disaster. He got into the left rear of Nieto, but somehow they both hang on to it.
That's impressive that they both hung on to it, because I thought for sure that Gas would make contact, and one, if not both cars, was going around. Watch it again here on the RSR replay. And there he gets up the track, and that car wiggled. That was... That was scary.
Could have been a big pile up, and instead they're able to drive on by and to keep on going. Davis now ahead of the two in Nieto for P5. That's kind of the highest spot in this entire group of cars. Thomas George, who was involved in that solo spin earlier, has gone to the garage. His night is done. He joins Brett Larson and Braden Whitaker as the drivers who are retired. So already 3 DNFs through the opening 50 here at Iowa, as side by side again we go. This time at a battle for P6. Nieto on the bottom, Mariah the challenger to the outside.
A great side by side battle here. See who can come off with that top lane, can pay off on the out of the corner for the 44. That's where that top lane benefits. You get a massive run out of the corner. Look at that. Power's ahead, and he does lead that little group right there at the line. And now he'll be able to come down if he wants to and clear. But no, he's going to stay top side again here and stay above Nieto and get that run again here off of it. You know, I did want to talk as well. You know, RSR, Evan, has been a lot about driver-led initiatives lately. You know, and we saw it in the Icebreaker series over the winter. Now, this season, we saw the change where now we're racing here, I guess, before the officials or as the officials are beginning. And I think for drivers like Thomas George or maybe a Braden Whitaker, maybe a Brett Larson, that's a tough, you know, bridge to cross or a tough challenge to have, because you don't get those official races to practice this, to know what that setup's going to do. It's very likely that some drivers are touching the setup for the very first time.
And especially at a track where you do not have a ton of prior years experience to fall back on. You know, the iRacing setups and the cars and the rules, they will change, they will be tweaked over time, but they're never a huge difference. At least you got something in the memory bank that can serve you. Here at Iowa, probably not a lot of people are driving Cup cars at Iowa before this. So certainly it is a unique challenge. Whereas if we were racing next Monday, kind of by the old follow the official format, a lot of those guys that you mentioned may have 5, 6, 7, 8, however many races on the official side of things under their belt. Instead, tonight is the R&D process for those official races. And it does, even all, you know, for the most experienced guys, also provides them a challenge for the Phillips and Harrises of the world. And it's fun to see who's been adapting. It is worth noting, you look right there, this battle for the race lead, it was once 1.2 seconds. Now they are side by side. Phillip has reeled in Bradley Burke, who's led 41 laps tonight, now looking to the inside. Can he do it, or is the 19 going to be able to wind it up topside? Burke will not go quietly into the night.
Nope, there's Burke coming around here on the top side, and maybe almost a little bumper touch there by Phillip. I think he backed out of it and is going to live to fight another day, because I have to think that a bumper touch into the corner here at Iowa would spell disaster for at least one, if not many cars. And they come now again through the corners. Phillip mostly riding the bottom, Burke mostly riding the top here. And we'll see how this plays out here. That's Cody Harris sort of right there in that catbird seat, Evan. Cody is just kind of saying, hey, listen, if these two guys want to make a little contact, go ahead. I could be the beneficiary.
Just kind of watch on and see if, as well, the fact that they're fighting with each other is going to tear up their stuff. Man. Cody Harris is just watching on. That's a big dive to the bottom for Agnell. That 19 looks pretty stable, though, when he's using the top side as a defensive line. So you wonder, kind of like what we've seen out of some of the other drivers in the field. Maverick Davis comes to mind, kind of forcing to the outside because they want to be on the top lane to make the move. Do we see Agnell try something like that, or does he continue to repetitively go down to the inside of the racetrack and try to make it happen on the bottom?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Agnell's going to do here. Agnell, of course, very, very experienced and has a lot of great experience here across all of iRacing. If we can go back to Cody Harris for a second, though, if we can pull that webcam up, when we were there last, Evan, I noticed the drivers have talked how difficult this track is tonight. Watch that movement. It's pretty calm here, but compared to what we see out of most Cup, races in RSR or eNASCAR or wherever, watch it again. That is a lot. Look at that. That feels like a lot of seesawing to keep that car. Man, look at all that. That is scary.
I remember the first run of this race where we saw the self-spin from Thomas George happen at about 23 laps into the opening run. Right now, everybody's on 36, soon to be 37 lap old tires. So I promise they're not driving real good right now. Taking a look at the 38 car, Matt Danson. Nice slide job move, makes the pass on the 2 of Sam Nieto. Maybe trying to double up and go for the move on the 24. Peter Irons in front of him. All of this going on for P6 on back. It's 5 cars separated by 1 second.
And everyone's sort of looking for their own little groove, their own lane, their own line. See a car way up top.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a spin. That is not Nieto. Who is that? I can't see. That is Cam Patterson.
And a quick trigger from the iRacing system as the yellow comes out for Cam Patterson. And watch Irons up the road just completely miss the corner, get sideways. He drops way back and it puts him in a 3-wide scenario. And then on its own, Patterson goes around, and that is a very small leash from the iRacing system, but it'll trigger a yellow for the 10 car at the end of lap 63.
Yeah, Cam, of course, already taken credit for it. I mean, there's no way not to take credit. We sort of caught you on the broadcast, but yeah, that's when Cam said, hey, that's me. But you're right, that was very sudden. I mean, obviously he was spinning in front of another car, and that may have been what triggered the iRacing system, but there you go. Well, we're seeing the track's already down 3 degrees Fahrenheit from where we started. So that is what's going on. The time is progressing. You're already an hour later in our time progression at the track, Evans. So we'll wait and see how this track behaves as the night goes on. Well, here comes round 2. Everybody down pit road.
It does get a little bit interesting if you're prepared to burn your second of 4 additional sets of tires. You're going to be halfway through your rubber, but we are not halfway through this race. It's always a precarious position to put yourself in. We'll see how that continues to play out and see what happens on the pit lane. Bradley Burke goes all the way down to pit stall number 6. Keep a half eye, though, just in case Maverick Davis can do something from pit stall number 1. He does have that big advantage of being closest to the scoring loop. 4 tires and fuel for Bradley Burke. He's clean in and out. Is there a challenge to the stripe? There is not. Undisputed. Burke off first, Phillip second, Harris third. And you can't help but to wonder, is this really good timing for Bradley Burke? Because he was gotten reeled in and almost chewed up by Agadil Phillip. Maybe the car wasn't that good on the long run. Now the equalizer is some fresh rubber for the 19. Maybe this swings things back in his favor. It is worth noting the fact that tires could be on the mind of some because Jason Landry did not come down pit road in the 56 car. Now, I say that with a hint of skepticism because he may still come down pit road before we restart. He secures a bonus point that time for the lap led. But if we continue to get a yellow every 20 to 30 laps, you can't take a tire every single time because you don't have enough sets. So this seems really off base because it's only Jason Landry doing it. But it wouldn't shock me if this starts to be more of a theme in this race.
Yeah, I agree with that for the record. So you're going to have to make some kind of move here. And right now, they've already gone around pit road again. I don't see how Jason Landry can pit at this rate. Well, there he goes. So I was wrong. Without taking the penalty, which I'll have to keep an eye on that in a second. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm surprised everybody took tires here because, as you said, there's not enough sets of tires. But then again, when the caution's out, as a driver, it's hard not to talk yourself into it. It's hard to stay out there, you know, and knowing you're going to get passed, knowing you're not going to be dominant, knowing you're going to have a hard time letting others pass you easily. But at the current pace we're at, they're going to be out of tires way, way sooner than they want to be.
And something is going to have to give at some point. That's the key to see how this one plays out. So Landry does, in fact, pit on the backside. So that will reset the running order up front. Bradley Burke going to go back to the top position. But again, if they continue with this trend and you burn some tires at 90 and then you burn some tires at 120, 130, you're kind of a pit stop shy of being able to do it all the way to the end. So we'll see. I don't know if this caution gives me the cautions breed cautions type of heebie-jeebies that some short tracks do. I think it's quite the antithesis of a normal race. Normally, the longer you go, the more spread out the field gets. Statistically, probably the likelihood of yellows goes down. I think it's the opposite here. I think these cars handle the best, and the drivers are least likely to wreck them when they've got 4 fresh tires on it, and you got to be nervous once you get 20, 30 laps on them for self-spins. That's been the 2 that we've seen so far.
Yeah, you're right. This track sort of gives me vibes of, like, my dates are going to be off, Evan, but it's, you know, the Indianapolis race or the Charlotte race back in the 2000s where we had the tire problems, where just the longer the run went, we all were just sort of waiting, knowing someone was going to spin out, knowing that a tire was going to fail, or knowing that, you know, that handling was going to become a problem. You're right. That's the feeling I'm getting here, is I think we're seeing right now about 20, 25 laps, and these cars become very, very difficult to hold on to.
Starting to race into the evening here in Iowa as the sun starts to dip behind the grandstands, and Burke chooses top side again. Green flag back in the air. It was another good start for Burke from the outside. The 44 of Michael Lariah going to follow up from row 2. He challenges for the number 2 spot. You can give it to him at Agno. Phillip drops back down to 3rd.
Yeah, great job by Lariah here. Just come back in and got himself involved in that 44 machine up to P2 here. Now he's going to make that run at Bradley Burke. See what he can make happen here. See if he can have more success than really almost anyone has had so far this race. But you're right, look at this good, clean racing all around here. This is fun to see here at Iowa. It makes me excited to see what happens when we put more cars on the track on Sunday.
It'll be fun as well to watch this race Sunday evening. You're going to have this same kind of day-to-night transition that we're seeing here tonight. Is that one going to be late in the evening, a 7 o'clock Eastern time start? Of course, because these races are half distance, the time of day progression is twice the speed of actual time to simulate the same amount of time elapsed over the course of a race. So a lot of the day-to-night transition that you're seeing here tonight could match what you'll see in the upcoming Cup Series race on Sunday. All of this fighting going on behind the 2 of Nieto, as Phillip still sits there in 3rd, Nieto's 4th, Harris is 5th, single file throughout.
Yeah, pretty great job here with most of the single file racing happening. See that 24 machine having a pretty good run here so far. That's Peter Irons. At one point, towards the end of practice, was the fastest in practice, Evan. Right at the end of practice, you and I were watching, they guys started cranking off the laps, like very, very fast. I looked up, it was Peter Irons. I looked up a second name, it was Cody Harris. Then Agwell came in right behind him at the end of practice and started cranking off fastest laps very, very quickly as the timer was ticking to 0.
So you could look at the 24 machine of Peter Irons, one of the newest drivers to the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, trying to fight with the 28 car of Cody Harris. He's been trying to make this pass on the bottom. That's going to be a difficult thing to accomplish so far. Most drivers have been unsuccessful on the bottom, even with a seemingly tire advantage later in some of the runs, to just complete that pass and get the job done. But he continues to fight on. Harris successfully defends on the outside once more. Also looking to see, did Maverick Davis learn anything on that last run? Remember, this car started on pole, lost the top spot, but was only as low as P2. But it was the subsequent restart that dropped him way back, and he just has not got out of this P6 or so rut. Not that that's a poor running position, but it's a far cry from the lead that he had for the opening 14 laps of this race, and just interested to see if the 24 can find something to get him back up to where he started this race.
Yeah, I did that whole dialogue about how the confidence building and the motivation for Maverick Davis was there when he was leading, and right now he's probably just full of question marks, maybe a little full of doubt. Just how do I get back there? How do I pass these cars? How do I get around them? And when those questions start to eat into your head a little bit, Evan, and you start to really let that fester, let that grow, it can cause you to not drive your best, because now you're frustrated, you're mad, you're angry, you're pushing too hard, you're not focused in. it can be pretty difficult once you get in that spot back there. And here's a nice side-by-side battle. This is Sam Nieto battling Cody Harris right there. You see him, Harris at the line just ahead because of that outside lane. Nieto's just trying to pass on the inside. I almost feel like we're learning so far, Evan, that bottom lane is not quite as dominant as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, again, I just think it's been quite the opposite tonight, which has been really interesting. And again, I know the progressive banking aids with that. It's only a 2-degree difference, top side to bottom, but I would say a majority of the passes have been made on the outside. Now, of course, you'll run the bottom if you're single file, but when it comes to side-by-side racing, where a car on the inside is going to affect the arc of the car on the outside and vice versa, topside seemingly has been the place that you would want to be so far in this race tonight. Looking at that 16 machine, or the 15, sorry, I should say, of Davis. Jumping back a little bit further through the field, how about Matt Danson, who returned to Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series victory lane last week at the Sonoma Raceway. First race of the year, Cody Harris led 30 laps, but it was Danson in the end who took home the win. That's big for him in terms of keeping his spot on the playoff grid to try to be in the top 16 by the time the postseason starts. Having an okay night, did not take a time into qualifying. Started back at 18th, and he's inside of the top 10.
Yeah, doing pretty well so far, and he would love to build on that momentum from last week of winning that road course and really conquering Sonoma, in my opinion, possibly to drive the hardest of the road courses we're going to face, even in the real-life NASCAR schedule, if not the RSR schedule here. But look at this beautiful battle. This is 5, 6, and 7. This is Irons, Nieto, and Maverick Davis, 5, 6, and 7. Everyone's just kind of digging for a different groove here. You see Irons holding the outside. Nieto's being forced to the bottom. Maverick Davis is kind of playing with like one groove up from the bottom at times, Evan. He is really searching to see if he can find something.
Even halfway through this race, and drivers are searching, trying to find a little bit extra, 2 laps shy of the halfway point in this Iowa 175. Bradley Burke continues to lead laps. He's led 68, by far more than anybody else in this race. Ken Irons, Ken Nieto, Ken Davis, can anybody in these other spots in the top 10 get up there and put on a good challenge? The Irons machine still using the outside line after being able to make the pass topside on the 2 in Nieto, now using the top side to defend against the counter punches.
Yep, sort of just, let me show you how this feels kind of thing. I felt this earlier, so let me show you how it feels. And man, it felt like Nieto got a little loose out of that corner there. It felt like the car kind of wiggled on the exit, but he's grabbed it up here and is going to keep on moving as he is still trying to make that bottom lane work. And see, I think the problem with the bottom lane, Evan, is not the lane. I think it's that you have to track out for it to be successful. You have to be able to track it all the way out and get that speed from bottom to top and get that run moving. But when there's someone above you, it's just impossible to do that, obviously, because they're right there on top of you. I think that's maybe why the bottom lane is having some difficulty.
Well, look at the 15 of Davis.
Hold on.
Big move, but a caution right as they get nose to nose. Spinner off of turn number 4. It is DeAndre Kane in the 90. DeAndre had just gotten back to the lead lap not all that long ago, and again, it looks like a really short leash on behalf of the sim. That car had a solo spin on the end of lap 87.
Well, right on schedule, it feels like, even right about that 20-lap run mark is where it's happening here. Well, now you start to wonder in your head, as a driver, you start to do the math and think, and now you can tell yourself, I can't do it. Like, I can't see anyone coming down here, Evan, as much as they're going to want to, as much as they crave new tires, and there they come. There's Agnell, Phillip, and maybe the only one. And look back to the field. Nope, never mind. He changed course.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can burn set number 3 of 4 on the money at halfway. And this is where, again, everybody has been uniform to this point. There's something that's got to give, and it'll give in the fact that Matt Danson is down pit road So was Jason Landry. Danson going for right side tires in the box. The 38 car going for 4. Now, if this race goes green to the end, or even has the yellow in 40 laps from now, we've seen 40 lap long runs, he's fine because he gets tires at 40 to go and then we're fine. But any more yellows then puts Danson at a disadvantage. But it'll be interesting to see because he's going to be the lead car on fresh tires and should, I'm not going to say easily like a hot knife through butter, but should have a decent look here at making some moves and driving through the field. We were just talking about him being in P10. It was the highest we had seen him yet tonight. I'm expecting Danson to drive pretty quickly into some of the top 5 spots.
Yeah, Danson's really playing a proverbial game of chicken right now, Evan. And the game of chicken he's playing is really almost against Barney the Flagman in a way, right? If this thing, as you said, stays green, if we could get a good long green run to the end, Danson would have a better set of tires to run with till the end. If it stays green for 40 laps, as you said, Danson's in the catbird seat. Now, what Danson has to do though is save those tires. He can't run from the back here and just crush the field and blow by them, because then by the time he gets to the front of the field, he's probably used up most, if not all, those new tires. So he has to be patient here while taking advantage of the advantage he has.
Just taking a cycle through again, it's going to be Danson 13th is where he cycles out to. So it's only losing 3 spots. I would consider it a gamble. We've seen a 30 lap long run tonight. We've seen a 40 lap long run tonight. This one of about 25 is by far the shortest in which somebody has taken tires on. For all the cars who stay out, you'd rather stay out on 20 lap older tires than 40. So for them, I think, again, it was, to your point, pretty much a no-brainer that, hey, this is the time we have to stay out. I'm sure they wanted tires, but at a necessity. For Danson, it's a bit of a gamble, but I can't just look into my crystal ball and tell you if it's the right call or the wrong call. I will say, though, by the law of averages, if only 1 or 2 cars make one decision and everybody else makes the other, the combined brain power of everybody, you would think, is the better or safer call, but only time will tell if that pans out.
The call I'm concerned about, though, was that 2-tire call that was made. That's the one that has me scratching my head. If you're having a tough time holding onto a car or handling a car at a track like Iowa, putting 2 tires in the car probably isn't really going to improve your experience, so to speak. That's probably going to be, if not the same, maybe a little worse, having those off-cycle tires. That's the one I'm hoping doesn't really mess up Danson's strategy.
It'll be interesting what the extra set of 2 can do. Maybe it's kind of throwing a bit of a lifeline out there. If this really backfires, that's my fallback. We'll see if that proves to have any sort of logic behind it, but maybe that is the thought process between trying to save a little bit more. Let's see how this one shakes out, though. Restart going to come still with 82 laps to go. But for the first time tonight, we have drivers off strategy from everybody else. First big mix-up of this race. Green flag back in the air. Burke chose the bottom this time. He is off and away.
Sort of interesting to see Burke making choices here, Evan. I think Burke is doing
front mid-corner, but can't hold off the run on the exit. Going to be tricky to get this pass done.
Yeah, he's going to have to track out a little bit here, maybe kind of lean on Burke, I think, and be willing to do that to help get that momentum off the corner and to make that pass happen. They're going to come around the line here again, and it'll be Burke. But you said it earlier that these cautions are not to the benefit of the leader. It's here right now because Agda Phillip is turning inching slowly closer ahead. And don't be surprised if out of this corner, if he's completed the pass.
He has the lead. Is he clear? Not yet. Back to the stripe. Top side. Still Agnew Phillip yet to lead a lap in this Iowa 175. And here's a familiar spot. Race leaders fighting. Driver in third watching on. Michael Araya just watches as these top two continue to duke it out.
Look at that. Agnew Phillip is searching the track, Evan. 2 laps ago, he was in the bottom. Last lane was almost middle. Now he's almost at the top. He's just looking around trying to find that correct lane to help him through the corners. And here he is trying to make the pass again for the lead. And I think he's going to come closer this time than he ever has before.
He's going to have to go for a big move, I think, and try to clear the 19 center off, because if that 19 still has the top to himself, the run that he gets on the outside is worth at least a car length, if not a car length and a half every single time. It just doesn't seem sustainable for overdriving the car if you're the 94 to just continue to try and try and try on the bottom. Does the 94 look to the outside? At least seemed like he might have been thinking about that, and now a mistake for Burke. Here's the opening. Phillip with a run. He'll have to go for the slide job. Throws it into turn 1. Slides up the banking. Burke saw it coming, though. Goes for the crossover. And as they equalize out, though, established on the outside is Phillip, and he should get the lead off of turn 4. If he can get that Sam run on the exit, he can! There goes Bradley Burke! Race leader spins into the grass. No caution. We stay green.
No caution indeed. We are green. They were 2 by 2 for a moment, and then Burke lost it out of that corner. But don't look now. P3, that's Matt Danson. Look at your screen here. Agnew Phillip, Michael Lariah. These guys were battling. That car in the back there, that's those new tires, Evan. That's the advantage. Look at it. That's the epitome. That's the visual proof you need. The new tires pay off. But here's Burke spinning through the grass, got the car up in the air a little bit, kept it in the grass, kept it moving forward. And that time the iRacing system did not have the hair trigger, and we are still green here at Iowa on lap 103.
We had seen so many other drivers get dinged for that spin, so similarly I was almost certain it was going to come out, and for Burke's sake it maybe needed it to. As we take a second look, again, he knew here Phillip had the advantage on the top side, tried to overdrive the car, and when it got sideways right there, he tried to keep it off the car's top side. It was good heads-up driving by Harris. I think that was behind to not drive through him. It does cost Harris a spot in the end. And now, after leading so many laps, Bradley Burke down to 14th with some cooked tires and a long way to go. Meanwhile, up front, though, the tire strategy is playing itself out for Matt Danson, because no more than 4 laps after Agnew Phillip has finally gotten to the race lead, it is going to swing in favor of Danson, who took the fresh tires last time down pit road. No shock that he has driven to the race lead for the first time tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, as maybe as excited or as surprised as you and I were that there was no caution in that moment, Matt Danson is stoked there was no caution in that moment, Evan, because had the caution come out, that would have ruined this whole moment for Matt Danson, I think. That would have ruined the strategy, would have ruined the advantage, would have ruined everything. But right now, Matt Danson is stoked that Bradley Burke mostly kept that car together and no yellow came out. Here's Michael Lariah, however, going to now make the pass on the bottom, or try to. The top lane is just dominant, and I think it is. It's just that you can't track out on the bottom. You're going to have to feel more comfortable sort of leaning on that car up top if you want to race the bottom side by side. Like, look at that gap there. And I get why they're doing it. You want to be courteous. You don't want to hit someone. But that gap of time that you're losing by taking that angle through that corner is killing that bottom lane.
It really is, and it looks like Agnew is driving an evil car, just about fenced it last time off of 4. He's trying to be obviously aggressive. He doesn't want to get swallowed up by Lariah and Davis. I think they kind of be half worried about Manazzi Major, who also pitted on the most recent yellow. Manazzi's been driving through the field. He's had a real quiet night up to P8. Obviously not the same pace that we've seen at a Danson, but the 82 Sprite Chevrolet also working through the field with that tire advantage.
Yeah, Manazzi, one of the most recognizable cars in all of RSR with that Sprite paint scheme. Never really changes. He sort of puts the cranberry twist on for the holiday season, but it's always Sprite as far as I can remember. So did a pretty good job there, running P7 and trying to hold off the gentleman behind him, which is Jason Landry and Brandon Gass. Doing a pretty good job here overall at that task as well.
And now 3 wide for a moment there as the 56 of Landry drives it up the middle, tries to go for the 2-for-1 special. He's clear of Minazzi. He's clear of Irons if he can get up in front, but no. Did not slide up center off, and it left the door open for the 24. Here again, he's clear through the center, but he needs to get up before the 24 can get the run, and now he does. So Jason Landry making some moves also on the fresh tires, passing Irons, but also passing Major, who's on the same strategy as he is.
Now, those who are wondering and kind of wondering why Landry's not having the same success, what Evan called out during the last pit stop, remember, Landry only took the 2 right side tires, so he does not have the full advantage of 4 tires as Matt Danson does. So you can see the difference between 2 tires and 4 tires, as well as 4 tires and no tires playing out live with these cars. But yeah, that's the difference we're seeing right here. Minazzi Major doing a great job at holding off Peter Irons and trying to hold on to that P7 position.
So we'll see where Minazzi can continue to climb. Again, all the cars who did decide to pit on the last pit stop are currently first with Matt Danson, 6th with Jason Landry, 7th with Minazzi Major. Steve Soa also on that strategy, 15th position in his car, as he is one of the back cars on the lead lap in this one. So obviously positive movement for all of them. None quite like Danson, whose advantage is now over 3 seconds, by far the biggest race lead we've seen from anybody tonight.
Yeah, and I do believe, by the way, that if this stays green, you know, Jason Landry's already up to P6. I believe he could get to a top 3 on that 2 tire call. It's just not as immediately impactful as it is for Matt Danson. So we'll wait and see how this plays out here and what can come of it. I mean, right now the good news is we're, knock on wood, if you have any around, we're staying green. So for people like Matt Danson and the others, Minazzi Majors and Jason Landry, this tire call is going to work out, because the longer we stay green, the less you need to worry about how many tire sets you have left. You don't have to worry about coming down pit road so many times. You can just worry about, hey, I'm going to go do it, and I should be okay.
There's the look on board with the Rogue Wave Racing driver of Minazzi Major, who has had a bit of a bounce back, of course, with the benefit of the strategy. Now trying to make a move on Maverick Davis. Davis, who's got tires about 35 laps older than those of Minazzi. Minazzi, of course, trying to keep pace with Jason Landry. If this race goes green, clearly the cars who pitted would have the benefit. They could make it on a 1 additional stop to the end, but we have not had a run of 80-plus green flag laps at all in this race. The numbers would suggest that's just not how it's going to play out. But that's why you run the race, and don't just put it all into an odds machine and have it spit out who's the likely winner and give out points at that moment. A lot of points as well cashed in for the drivers at the midway race break in this one. That benefits all the cars who are on the populous strategy decision. For those who stayed out, they get bonus points. Those rewarded at the end of the halfway point in this race to the drivers inside of the top 10. And Minazzi Major now just to the background of this battle does clear. Oh, and we got a spinner behind. Look in the rear view mirror there, Lariah. I think it was Maverick Davis. There's no yellow, though. The 15 car was slow, nearly lost it, but hangs on.
Wow, what a moment from Maverick Davis. And glad he kept on to that. There it is again. Oh, stay forward. Oh, that is 2 times now, I believe, for Maverick Davis. We've seen a close call here. Obviously, he's having a hard time with those tires, probably a hard time by how hard he's on the brakes, and now just frustrated with that car. Yeah, I'm starting to hear a lot of complaints about the grip left in the tires and what could come of it. Makes me wonder if people like, a Cody Harris and Agnew Phillip and others. And look back to that. There's Bradley Burke down pit road. Here's Agnew Phillip. These guys are pitting under green. This is where Matt Danson pays off that strategy.
Their tires about 56 laps old. There are 53 laps to go in this race. If we stay green, they will not come back down to pit road, and they would end this race with a set of tires sitting in the pit box. For Danson, you've only been out there for 33. Do you respond and pit now, or do you wait and go an additional 10 laps so that you go 40 and 40, much like they're going 50 and 50? It seems like that's what Danson's going to do. Again, Danson, when he comes down pit road, he's going to be more inclined, Derek, to not pit soon. If anything, maybe going to go a little bit later than he should, because he's only got one set left down in the box. If he burns it, and then there's a yellow after that, he is SOL. So that is the dilemma going on right now for the guy who's sitting in P1.
And listen, as every one of these cars pits one by one, Matt Danson, whatever you believe in, hoping, praying, doing a caution dance, you know, whatever deity or power you believe in, Matt Danson is talking to him right now, praying for that caution to come out here in about 3 or 4 laps so that he can trap some people a lap down and pit under yellow and be in the best position. But you're right now, if this stays green, Matt Danson's going to wait as long as humanly possible and see what comes of it.
Wouldn't think that the driver who's leading the race would be on the hot seat, but again, those are some of the things that are being taken into consideration by the guy leading this race, and also by Jason Landry, who's now cycled through to the number 2 position. You're also going to start to see the cars on fresh tires, how they are much quicker. This is Bradley Burke and Maverick Davis. This is for position 2 cars who have already pitted. Right now, though, 1 lap down. They'll likely cycle out to a spot inside of the top 5, but you can see how much quicker they are than everybody else who is yet to come down and pit.
Yeah, and look at this leaderboard on the left. I mean, look at that. Now P10 on back is a lap down. Probably P9 after Sam Nieto pits here. So right now, if you're Matt Danson, you're thinking, man, I can maybe back up the pace here and have a good time and not burn my tires quite as much. But here's Cody Harris, 5 seconds, almost 6 seconds back off the leader. Just trying to make it work here.
It's out of 50 laps to go now for the Iowa Speedway. Everybody watching on and with bated breath, waiting to see how this strategy will play out. Agnell Phillip, a little bit slow on some of the last couple of trips around the racetrack for him as he tries to get a footing underneath him, but I don't know what's going on with the 94. Something has got to be wrong with Agnell Phillip's car, and now Agnell Phillip is in the wall. Wow. Agnell Phillip just pitted on cycle, but was running 2 to 3 seconds slower per lap than everybody else who he pitted with, and Agnell Phillip has some sort of major issue.
Put a theory out there that may not be right, but it's my theory in my head of what happened based on the evidence we can see, which is maybe Agnell had planned on doing a 2-tire stop when he faked that call under yellow, Evan, and maybe he forgot to put the left sides back on. Maybe he only took 2 tires under the stop, and that's why he's having the problems. I don't know that. I don't have a confirmation yet. I'm going to try to get it. But based upon the evidence that we can see in my experience of iRacing, that's my first thought. Is there something about the tires that aren't right?
And it's also interesting because Agnell Phillip, first thing I would look for is, was it a short pit stop, right? Did he not spend enough time in the box to take 4? He spent 30 seconds in the box. It was a longer than average pit stop for Agnell Phillip. I don't know if Agnell Phillip got any tires on the 94, and there is some pretty significant right front damage on that car. That damage came the lap before he pitted. So I think Agnell Phillip more so struggling with the damage than maybe the lack of tires. We missed it on the pit cycle, but Agnell Phillip got loose, went into the outside wall, an extremely rare self-inflicted error for Phillip.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Agnell post-race and find out what happened there and what is going on. But look at this gap here now to the leader on the left side of your screen here. And you see how big it's getting. Now it's Danson, Landry, Cody Harris, Michael Laraya, and Minazzi Major, your top 5. And of course, of those, you know, Danson, Major, and is that our only 2? Jason Landry are your tire callers from the last stop. Cody Harris is just toughing it out. He did pit, or he did not pit with that crowd. He's just trying to tough it out longer than the others before he pits here, I believe.
Danson is now past the threshold on splitting the run in half. Again, he and Landry have been out there for 45 laps on tires. There are 40 laps to go. But again, if they had unlimited tires, I think he would have pitted right in the middle. The fact that he doesn't have anything else left in the reserves tells me that he will likely go a little bit longer than he maybe should, just to try to cover his bases. Cody Harris has been out there for 70 laps on the tires. So is Michael Lariah. I mean, those kind of numbers make me nervous if I'm Danson when it comes to these guys keeping the cars underneath them handling-wise.
Well, the flip side of your coin, though, Evan, it makes you nervous to hope that Cody Harris keeps the car on the track and can hold on to it. But doesn't it sort of just put a small little flicker of hope in your candle to go, hey, if Cody Harris just went 80 laps in these tires, that's all I needed to go was 80 laps in these tires to get to the end of the race. Maybe there's a flicker of hope that I can pull this off. So we'll wait and see what Matt Danson and Jason Landry can do. I mean, Danson has a pretty dominant 6.5-second lead over Landry right now. And, I mean, if I was Danson right now, I'll be honest with you, I'd be backing up a little bit, Evan. It doesn't matter if you win this race by 6.5 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, or 1/10 of a second. You win the race. So I'd probably be backing up that lead and saving those tires to make sure I could get to the end. But Matt Danson is keeping that lead steady, if not growing it lap by lap.
And he has to know that when he cycles back to the race lead, or whenever he cycles out of pit road, I should say, he is likely not going to be the leader. Is into the outside wall. That time off of the corner was Peter Irons in the 24. In P6, got loose, went topside, got passed by a couple of cars not for position. Those were cars on fresh tires, but despite the fact that that little scare interrupted my point, it actually kind of ties in because the lead car who has pitted and can go to the end of this race was Maverick Davis, is now Sam Nieto, as they're having quite a fight in their own right. So that those cars are running 1.5-ish seconds better than Danson every single lap. That's going to be enough to make up for the 3-4 second advantage that Danson had before the pit stop. So Danson does still need to pit with enough time to then use the fresher tires to his advantage to retake the lead before the race runs out.
I don't think Danson plans on pitting, though. I really don't. I think he's thinking to himself, if Cody Harris can do it, I can do it. I think Danson has committed himself, for better or for worse, that unless the yellow comes out, that he's not pitting. I think he's just going to try to ride those tires and see what comes of it. Now, if Landry or Minazzi Major wants to do the same thing, it's different for them because they're under this big battle right here, and they're going to burn up those tires pretty quickly. This is Minazzi Major now getting passed on the inside here. That's going to be passed on both sides of him, actually. Oh, Maverick Davis. Oh, man, I thought they were going to go.
It'd be a bold decision if they do want to stay out and push. That would be 86 laps for Danson and Landry to go all the way to the end of the race. It is the, I guess, lesser of two evils. It is the safer kind of fallback plan strategy, because then if there is an incident with 20 to go, 10 to go, 1 to go, you got a set of tires available. If you pit now, you likely have a better chance of winning the race on it going all the way to the end green, but do not have the safety net of any additional tires left for you if it comes down to it. Again, watching this battle carry on between Minazzi Major and Peter Irons. Both of these cars have been out there for a long time. Irons already for 78 laps, Minazzi for 53. So differing strategies between the two of them, battling for that number 5 spot.
Yeah, this is definitely a battle that's showing off the different tire strategies and how they work out. But right now, Peter Irons is winning this battle right now for P5, and we'll see who can eventually get to it and how they get to it and who wins it. But I do think right now for Matt Danson, even Jason Landry, we're into that area of sort of a Murphy's Law kind of scenario, right? There's always this little silly and Murphy's Law rules, like, you know, if the carpet's new, the bread lands butter side down. If the carpet's old, the bread lands butter side up, or any of those kind of old theories that you have for Murphy's Law. right now is for Matt Danson is if you stay out, you know, there probably won't be a caution. If you pit, there will be a caution. It's just sort of that impossible game to predict for Matt Danson.
And battles like this also don't add to the comfort level either. The majority of the incidents that we have seen tonight have been single car spins, but the likelihood of something going awry goes up when there's big battles on track. Davis again has fallen off of the battle with Nieto and Burke. Nieto now the lead car on those who have pitted under green. If for whatever reason everybody else in front can't make it to the end on fuel, that is the driver you're looking at. Nieto also could push more, but I don't think would be able to catch them unless they really had to back off to start conserving. Davis, on the other hand, one of the first cars to pit from this strategy, struggling a little bit. He's been under fire by a handful of different cars. Right now, he's dealing with the 10 of Cam Patterson on the inside. Patterson nearly lost it off of turn 4, but reels it in. We've had about 3 of those. Oh, and there it goes in turn 1. Patterson into the wall. There's the yellow that Danson and company had to stay out to guard against. And this whole race changes inside of 30 to go.
I mean, Patterson had to save the first time, obviously not the second time. You see major damage to the front of that car, and this is going to reset this race in a big way. And it sort of puts Danson and Landry back in the driver's seat. We can talk about that because the only way that Nieto, Burke, Davis, Cato, and others get their lap back, Evan, is by not pitting and not taking new tires.
Sam Nieto, lead car of those who had pitted, was in the lucky dog position. He gets an added benefit of that. But they just had to get a few more spots up to be tail end of the lead lap. And it doesn't play out. So Danson, courtesy of the strategy, is going to burn his last set of tires here, but it's going to be the last trip down pit road, I think, for everybody tonight. He'll go for the forward fuel. He's got such a gap, he should be able to leave pit road as the top car with ease. It is Harris, Landry, Irons, Grass, Lariah, Major, Danson, all down pit road. Those are all the cars on the lead lap in this race. They're going to cycle back out. Matt Danson, you'll see, come drive it on by. There he is. He will drive out and lead. So he will be able to maintain the race lead. Meanwhile, Bradley Burke looks like he is the recipient of the lucky dog. Going to rejoin the lead lap somewhere down in about, we would call it, actually in the top spot as things cycle through, but timing and scoring, I think, may need an update for the 19. Yeah, he's got to come in this time.
So now, I think Sam Nieto, Maverick Davis is down pit road. Ross Cato is not. So Ross Cato and Sam Nieto have opted to get the wave around here. They are not going to pit this caution. They are going to be on older tires. So they're going to be on the lead lap. That's the good news. The bad news is now they're the ones on the older tires. But then you start to wonder, what if we get one more caution? Now it's Nieto and others on fresh tires. What could that do for them? I don't know. But right now they're going to line up at the front for the moment. But that's because of the wave around cars. They'll get sent around and be quote unquote in the back.
Yeah, it's going to be fun picking up the pieces and trying to figure out where everybody cycles through and falls out into this one. Try to make sure everybody ends up in the correct position as well, so that everybody is running where they should be running. Just making sure that Bradley Burke, the correct recipient of the wave around and lucky dog.
Well. The if you have a teammate who's helping you out, if you have a spotter or crew chief, whatever you got, the spreadsheets, the calculators, whatever you got to make your strategy calls are burning up right now, because for certain drivers, there's a lot to decide on here. I mean, right now, if you're Matt Danson, Cody Harris, Jason Landry, you're done. You have made your bed. You got to lie in it. You got to race in it. You're done. But those cars that stayed out made a decision to not burn their last set of tires. and they're praying for a yellow so they can be relevant at the end of this race. There's, once again, off-strategy racing here in RSR.
Just when you thought we had it all figured out, another twist. Just to add a little bit more flair. Matt Danson now has a challenge because he was able to drive through to the top position courtesy of the strategy. Before that, I think I peaked at about P10. He will have the track position. He will have that oh so important clean air, Derek, but he has not been the best car on equal tires yet tonight. Has the 38 learned enough to be able to hold off some of the other drivers? The benefit is the powerhouse cars of the night, Burke down in the running order, Davis down in the running order, so still some work to do, but it is not all established and it is not all said and done.
No, it's not all said and done at all. There's some great racers up top. Cody Harris is up there. Michael Laria's up there. And this is not done by any means. This is maybe one of the most important restarts Matt Danson can have right here. He has to be dominant in his start and pull away as fast as possible.
Pace car going to be in this time. Danson chooses the bottom. Harris to the outside. Landry, Laria, Irons, all fresh tires in the top 5. Green flag back in the air.
Talked about that restart being important, Evan, and look at how great of a restart he got. He's got a big jump here over Cody Harris, already half a second in the first lap. And then on back, that battle is live. Laria, Landry, Irons, and Brandon Gass really in a nice little gaggle there trying to get around each other. And that is great news for Cody Danson.
Yeah, look at this big kind of hornet's nested bottleneck of cars. It's almost going to create a bit of a buffer to make things more difficult for drivers to try to get up to Danson and Harris. Laria sits third. He searches for a higher line through turns 1 and 2 as they all try to chase down Matt Danson, who's led 52 laps consecutively.
Don't look away. Here comes your Ohio native, Cody Harris. Let's come around here and see if he can dot the I in Iowa and win this race. I knew I'd get my Ohio State reference in there somehow. Didn't know that was going to be the one, but it works. But look at Cody trying that bottom lane again, Evan. But look how well he tracked out. That's something we didn't see a lot of drivers do. Cody did a pretty great job there at still tracking out despite using the bottom and trying to keep that momentum running. And you see again, Cody Harris' fastest lap. He is on the move. He wants to pass. He wants the win. He wants to claim victory here at Iowa. That car is loose. There he is, loose and wiggling, and that's circled around in the grass, Evan. No caution, but Cody Harris has likely thrown this race away. Stay green here at Iowa. And that's going to only be great news for Matt Danson here because now he's got his hold off Michael Laria here, working lap 160 of 175. Almost a half a second gap here. No caution again for Cody Harris in the grass as the night has fallen here at Iowa. And it is Matt Danson in the lead. There you see the replay again. That is Cody Harris, and he threw that car in the grass. No caution, no one around him. So here we go. Michael Laria, fastest lap, now trying to run down your leader, Matt Danson. Only a few laps to go here left on this course. And man, Michael Laria is making up moves really fast here. Now almost to the inside. Now he's going to try to make the move here into 1 and 2. Side by side. He's now got him. He needs to track it out a little bit. And he does pretty well. He's going to hold the timing here. Now down to 3 and 4. He's going to clear him. Needs to make the slide job happen, and he does. New leader, Michael Laraya, at 12 to go. Now let's see if Laraya can pull away here. First laps led tonight, I do believe, from Michael Laraya. Coming around here. Now Matt Danson's going to try to make it deep to the inside. Dug it way deep, almost deeper than I've seen Danson dig most of his laps. But not able to catch Laraya here. Meanwhile, on back, it's Laraya, Danson, and then Landry, Irons, Burke, and Austin Cooper, your top 6 right now. And that race is bad. Look at this. Orange single file on back here. But Danson now trying to find a way around Laraya, trying to dig that bottom, trying to track it back out. And he's down to 0.3 of a second. He's closed the gap a little bit. This is third place right here. This is Jason Landry, a driver who also took that tire strategy earlier, kind of had it wiped out by that yellow from Cam Patterson, but has the newer tires. And here we go. 10 to go. Both hands out from Barney the Flagman, showing 10 fingers. That means 10 laps to go. Look at that, way outside Bradley Burke. On P5, now going to try to make the crossover on the 24. Digs down to the bottom. Keeps about 1 lane up. And cannot hold it. I don't think he gets the 24. And doing pretty well here. Burke now digs to the bottom of 3 and 4. Keeps about 1 lane off the bottom. He's going to slide up next to the 24. No contact. Great driving by both drivers. And we'll come around to the start-finish line with the 24 is still the leader of those 2 cars. Meanwhile, if we go back to the front, Matt Danson has closed the gap. It's now down to less than 1/4 of a second. There he is in the back of that shot right there. Danson's doing a great job tracking out wide. Oh, there's the wall hit. That's going to cause a lot of time right there. Possibly threw away the race. That might be the race-winning moment from Michael Laraya with 7 to go. Let's watch it again here. Gets down to the bottom of the corner. Going to track it out here and watch that wall. Oh, back in the both parts of the car, the back and the front, both make contact from Matt Danson. Well, you see Danson kind of swirly again here, trying to push and trying to make it happen. But that gap is now almost 3/4 of a second. And we'll see if he can make it up. Here's the pass right now. Bradley Burke and Peter Irons, 4th and 5th. This is what we saw earlier. And it's Burke on the bottom in that bright blue car. And we're going to try to keep pushing here. Doing a great job of holding the bottom. Doing a great job of controlling the race. Doing a great job of almost picking where Irons has to race. As Burke here now into 1 and 2. Gets the bottom. Almost clear. Needs to slide job it up. He does, and he completes the pass for P4. 5 laps to go is all we have left here. 5 laps. Derek Watson here in the booth with you. Evan Pasoko having some weather problems down in Florida, so he is not here at the moment. So you have me alone for 4 to go. There's your race lead right there. You see, look at that. Danson's trying. Danson's digging. He is trying to get back to Michael Laraya, but I don't know that he has the time. See the different lines being run here, different lanes. Danson's closing pretty quickly here. Still half a second, but trying his best here at Iowa Speedway. 3 laps to go for Michael Laraya. Right now, your race leader. The first laps he's led all night when he passed Danson a few laps ago and is trying to pull away and secure another RSR victory. All right, here we go. Once again, 2 to go. You see the battles heating up on the track. That's Irons right there in the 24. Now trying to hold off Austin Coop. And meanwhile, the battle lead has grown a little bit. Laraya has now put a bigger gap on Danson. There it is. You see it's happened now. It's almost up to 0.7 of a second here. White flag. 1 lap to go at Iowa Speedway. 1 lap for Michael Laraya to get another victory. 1 lap for Matt Danson to try something desperate. Let's see what happens here. Down the back straight for the final time. Michael Laraya keeps it pretty straight. Danson digs that corner a little too hard. And I do believe one more time, at least in his career, Michael Araya wins RSR. Michael Araya wins the inaugural race at Iowa Speedway. Wow, that is proof right there, visual proof. Doesn't matter how many laps you lead. This matters if you lead the final lap. Here comes Michael Araya on around. Going to get some congratulations from a few of the drivers. Meanwhile, Michael Araya is going to burn it down in your RSR winning moment of the race. Here and see who is available to have a talk with. Let's go ahead and start tonight with Jason Landry. Jason, you finished third tonight. Under that caution about, what, 80, 90 laps ago now, you took 2 tires. What was your thought process in that moment?
I actually didn't take any tires. I just went in for fuel.
There you go. Even better. I thought you took 2. No, you took 0. Okay. So talk me through that process. What, you just trying to hold on to tires for the rest of the race, or what happened?
No, so the first yellow, everybody, I think it was lap 19 or something like that, everybody went in, or 24, so everybody went in for tires, and I really didn't want to go in. So I went in, followed everybody, and then the second caution, I think it was like 30 some laps later, that's the one where I was like, you know what, I'm going to stay out, try to get I'm not exactly sure how the rules work, but I think I got a lap led, even though it's on a safety car. And then I went into the pits once I got that lap, and that's where I didn't change tires. I just put fuel because I wanted to be on an offset for tires than everybody else, because with all the cautions happening so early, we were going through tires pretty quickly. So I was like, I should really save a set for later. So I think me and Matt, we pitted at the same time and both changed for 4 fresh tires. So we definitely had a bit of an advantage until that last caution came out. And then it was all hell breaks loose, and I was just trying to hold on.
If the last caution had not come out, were you committed to running the rest of the race, or were you going to pit at some point?
Oh no, I was easy to the rest of the race. Yeah. I was still saving a little bit. I was hoping for maybe a last little push, but I think Matt just had way more pace than me. Like, I don't think I could have closed in 6 seconds.
All right, well, there you go. Well, listen, great run tonight, P3. As you look ahead in the schedule, what tracks excite you and what tracks scare you?
Well, I'm unfortunately not going to be here for July and August, but I do love Nashville, okay. So I'm looking forward to Nashville.
Well, there you go. All right, well, listen, great run tonight in P3, and we'll see you when we see you. Yeah,
thanks. I just want to say happy Father's Day, because I know my dad always watches this, and hopefully he'll watch it closer to Father's Day next Sunday.
Well, there you go. Well, hi, Dad, and great job, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
See if I can make up the time with the fresh tires, but that's kind of the benefit of having teammates. My teammates Bradley and Sam, they ended up trying that strategy, and then we were comparing lap times, and my times are starting to plateau, and they were really gaining enough for that strategy to really work. So I was kind of in my mind going to be relegated. I would have been pretty happy with that because I came into this race tonight with 0 laps run. In fact, I was actually having trouble loading into the session with just some of the stuff that's going on with iRacing with patches and whatnot, but came in tonight with 0 prep, which is not like me, so playing catch up from the very beginning, and I'm shocked I was able to win tonight.
Yeah, well, sometimes experience pays off, and we can see it there with the 0 laps run. It was a great run there. So when you passed Matt Danson there in that moment, were you surprised he never got back to you?
I'll be honest. I thought he was going to mount a charge for a lap or two there. I was kind of surprised I was able to clear him when I did. I thought he'd have that good run off of 4 and we'd be side by side, but I had something figured out towards the end there. I felt really comfortable with how the car was reacting, and I found a line there that really worked for me for much of the night, and I kind of just stuck with that. And if somebody was going to get ahead of me and try to aero block me, it might have been an issue, but I felt like I had that line nailed, and it worked to my advantage. And then I had a good run coming off of 2, going into 3, and I'm like, you know what? I got to take my chances here and just see if I can pull a slider, and luckily it worked out.
Worked out indeed. What a great run for you, and what a great night here. So as we look ahead in the schedule over the next few weeks of racing, what track excites you, and what track has you a little concerned?
So I think we got Nashville coming up fairly soon. That's a track I'm definitely looking forward to. I've had a lot of top 5 runs there, so I definitely have that place circled on the calendar. I feel like that's maybe another opportunity I can get a win. Loudon, that track is pretty tricky. I gotta find a little bit more speed there, if I'm being honest. So I could probably come out there with a decent run, but I gotta put in a little bit of work to find that little bit of extra that some of these guys have at that place. So it certainly feels good though, just to get a win though. I felt like I definitely threw away a win a few weeks back at Charlotte. Just hitting a bump coming out of pit lane there and losing control of the car while leading, which is pretty embarrassing. But and the thing is, this league is so competitive that you don't want to give away races like that, especially when you're sitting in a good position. So just kind of a relief to get a win at this stage. It's definitely a weight off my shoulders, and now maybe I can get a little bit more aggressive with strategy and just try to get more wins at this point. So definitely gonna roll the dice a little bit more here and there, but you definitely want to not get too overzealous with that, especially before the playoffs start. You want to make sure that you're carrying some momentum going into it and making sure that you're executing. So at this point though, just kind of roll the dice for a few weeks and then get in a good rhythm getting into the playoffs.
There you go. Well, listen, great run tonight. Great job making the pass, and great job on the win.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's Michael Araya finishing P1 here at the inaugural RSR Iowa race. He was Evan Pasoko. Our producer tonight is Ramiro Cisneros, and I do want to thank all you for watching and being a great audience. But for now, it's time to say goodbye. We'll see you next week live from New Hampshire.